Hello and welcome to LexTrain's Video On Demand Library. My name is Matt George, and in this video I will be discussing and demonstrating the Cisco iOS image recovery via xMODEM. So there's three key points that I want to touch in this video prior to doing my demonstration, which is when you'll be required to perform an xMODEM, and how long an xMODEM takes, as well as how you can speed it up, and how you can change the baud rate of the device. So let's go ahead and get started here. As you can see, I have one big question here at the top of this slide, which is when. When would you be required to perform a xMODEM recovery? Of course, I've given three examples here in this slide, with the first one being the number one reason, which is a corrupt iOS image in Flash. Let's say you go to work one morning and you receive several telephone calls and emails from end users on your network saying that they cannot access resources on the network. And after further investigation, you discover that one of these switches mysteriously booted into ROM monitor mode. And of course, you pursue the investigation and you discovered that the switch is failing to boot into Cisco iOS because it is crashing at the time that it is extracting the image from Flash into RAM. And of course, if you know the architecture of the iOS images, you will know that most of your newer images are compressed. And if the CRC fails or something like that, the switch or device will crash and instantly reboot, and it will boot into ROM monitor mode. And of course, the second example I've given here is an example that I personally have experience with, which is an accidental Flash erasure. So one night I was working late for a client, and I was in a hurry to get home because the season premiere of 24 was coming on television, and I was typing really fast, and I was wanting to get out of there, so I typed in copy run tart and pressed enter twice really fast, and I grabbed my console cable off the switch and threw everything in my bag. And the next morning I go to work and I receive a few telephone calls saying that the network is down. And of course, after investigation, I discovered that the flash is completely empty because when I pressed enter twice, it erased the flash. So pretty stupid incident on my part, but we all make stupid mistakes. And of course, the last one being no image at all. This is pretty common. Let's say if you purchase a used router or a switch off eBay, and the company that you purchase it from has used sanitation procedures which erase the non-volatile RAM as well as the flash, you'll be required to xMODEM an image to the switch or specific router, such as a 2500 or a 3600. Of course, with the 3600, you do have the option of booting the router from a CCNP flash card. But if you do not have one of those on hand, you will be required to xMODEM an image to the device. So let's go ahead and continue here. In this slide, I'm going to answer two of the common questions that everybody has about xMODEM, which is how long it takes and how can you speed it up. The default console baud rate for a Cisco device is 9600 bits per second, 9.6 kilobits per second, and that means that it would take a 4 megabyte image file over 55 minutes to xMODEM, and an 8 megabyte image file would take over an hour and 51 minutes, approximately 2 hours to xMODEM. And of course, you can speed this up by setting the console baud rate to 115 kilobits per second, or 115,200 bits per second, whereas a 16 megabyte image file would take approximately 17 minutes to xMODEM. So how do you get the baud rolling? That is the best ever title for a slide. To increase the baud rate of a Cisco device, for a Catalyst series switch, you would use the set baud variable under ROM monitor mode. Or for a Cisco router, you would change the configuration register to 3922, which increases the console baud rate to 115,200 bits per second. So let's go ahead and see the demonstration. Now you can see that I have my secure CRT window open, and I have a console session established with this switch. And in this demonstration, I will be using a Cisco 3560 series Catalyst switch, currently running 12.2.46. And for the purposes of this video, what I'm going to do is erase the flash intentionally. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And I'm going to pause the video here because it does take several moments. All right, now you can see that the flash has been erased, and I can go ahead and verify this by doing a directory flash. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and reload the switch, and since the flash is empty, the switch will automatically be forced into ROM monitor mode. So let me go ahead and do that now. I'm going to pause the video here and wait till the switch to go ahead and boot into ROM monitor mode, so this may take a few moments. Alright, so now the switch has finished booting up, and you can see that the switch did fail to boot into iOS, obviously because the flash is empty. But the first thing we need to do prior to attempting an xMODEM is set the baud rate to 115 kilobits per second. If we don't do this, then xMODEMing a 16 meg image, remember, would take over 2 hours. So in order to set the baud rate, we must use the set command, which sets the environmental variables. Now, typically you would probably see baud equals 9600, but if you don't, then it will default to 9600. So what we need to do is set baud. Keep in mind it is case sensitive, so you have to type it in all capital and 115,200. And as soon as I press enter here, you'll notice that I get all kinds of funny characters, because as soon as you press enter, it does take effect immediately. So what we need to do is disconnect from the serial console and edit the properties of the connection and change it up to 115 kilobits per second and reconnect back. And now you can see that I have access to the switch console again. And if you look under the set environmental variables, you'll be able to see that the baud is equal to 115 kilobits per second now. So now we need to go ahead and issue the copy command, copy xMODEM to the flash, and of course we have to give it a name. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to minimize this, and I already have the image that I'm going to xMODEM, so I'm going to right click and rename it and copy the name and just paste it here and type in bin. As soon as I press enter, it will ask me to go ahead and begin the xMODEM. So I need to go up here to transfer and send xMODEM and go to the desktop and click on the image. So now the switch has already initialized the xMODEM, and you can see that it's starting to transfer here, roughly about 6 kilobytes per second, and the estimated time to completion is 25 minutes, give or take. So I'm going to pause the video here again and wait for this to complete, and I will return after it's completed to continue. Alright, as you can see here that my xMODEM transfer is just now finishing, and so now we can go ahead and verify it. And you can see that the image is indeed in flash. Alright, first off we need to go ahead and set the console baud rate back to 9600. So in order to do this, we use the unset command. And as soon as we issue that command, you can see that it does take effect immediately. So I'm going to have to disconnect from the switch and change the baud rate of the connection here to 9600 and connect back to the switch. And keep in mind that when you xMODEM an image to a switch, you may be required to change the boot parameters. In order to view them, you just use the set command, and you can see that boot equals flash in the image name. Earlier, when I erased the switch intentionally, I copied back the same image, so therefore I don't have to change this. But let's say you buy a switch off of eBay and it's been sanitized, and you xMODEM a new image to it, you may have to change this to another image name. In order to do this, you just use the set boot. Keep in mind, boot is case sensitive, and the image name.bin. And after that, you can just type in the boot command. Or if you don't want to change it in raw monitor mode, you can use the boot flash and image name.bin this way. And when you boot into iOS, you can change it from there as well. Since I don't have to change this, I'm just going to go ahead and type boot. And as you can see, the switch automatically extracts the image and loads it into memory and boots the image. Well, I hope this video has been helpful for you, and I'd definitely like to thank you for viewing.